Justice in the Supreme Court, then again appointed as a Court of Appeal judge in the DC Circuit Court, then nominated by, I think it was George Bush who nominated him to go to the Supreme Court, but William Rankes died before the process was over, and then he was nominated as Chief Justice. So I don't know whether that's, you could find that probably could disadvantage you in terms of that you are a very good lawyer, there's no doubt about that, probably one of the very best in the country in terms of, you know, understanding the law and arguing your cases with vigor. But perhaps again, because of lacking the judicial experience, somebody could probably argue that it could disadvantage you in terms of the learning curve and understanding the dynamics of the institution, and probably jump to the Supreme Court first, then, you know, become our Chief Justice. I don't know. I would be interested in hearing your response, not to say that I have an opposition on it, but just for you to be able to satisfy this commission that notwithstanding the lack of the judicial experience from the inside, of course you've said that you've related a lot with the judiciary, that it still does not disadvantage you.
Thank you very much for that very good question, Commissioner Njeru. The debate about the inside, the insiders versus the outside. Let me go back a little. My favorite example is when I went back to the DPP's office. I was an outsider. I might have started my early life there, knew enough about it, especially where the shoe pinches. And when I came back, I wasn't asking what is the problem. I was simply demanding a solution. I was going to the solution. And there's a small little dimension there as well. We had problems agreeing on terms about my terms of service. And there was an interesting debate because I was taking over from a person who had been at the rank of Chief Magistrate in this court and had become the DPP, whilst there was the Honorable Bernard Chunga, who had been a DPP and had moved to become the Chief Justice, and his terms of service at that time were Court of Appeal terms. Listen to the analogy. When I came in and somebody said, here's the job, this is what you will take. And I said, no. And they said, well, why are you fussing? You wanted a job, take a job. And I said, I'm not here for the money. I'm here for doing a job, and I will do it at the level that it is required to be done. It took 5 months for them to see my point, and they gave me the terms. It wasn't much money, by the way. When they increased it to Court of Appeal, as you all know, it's much more even now. But it was the principle. And at some point, in a meeting with the Office of the President, not the President, I'm talking about the representatives, when they wouldn't move, I said, then in that case, I'm prepared to leave, and I will work with you as a consultant. And they relaxed a little. I got what I wanted. And just to show you the nature or the kind of person I am, they offered me a permanent and pensionable job. I said, if I can't do it in 3 years, I don't need to be here. And they gave me a contract instead. But that contract was too long. I was sacked in 2 years. Now, I come to the inside-outside discussion in the judiciary. I take my hat off here without any reservation to Chief Justice Emeritus Willie Mutunga for everything he has achieved. Sitting here today, the credit for transformation goes to him unreservedly. And why was he able to achieve the impossible? Because he went in there with a clean sheet, listened to everybody, and could very easily say, then in that case, if that doesn't work, we drop it. As against that, there is the insider candidate, for example. He's done the same thing the same way for 35 years. When you ask him to remove the glass in front of him, and he's had it there for 35 years, he says, but how can I do that? How can I do that? So whenever an institution is in crisis, and I believe this one is, a crisis of confidence, crisis of a leadership problem with vis-a-vis other arms of government, the best solution is the outsider who simply comes to ask what are considered silly questions. Why aren't we solving the problem? What is so difficult about X or Y? So this is one of the reasons that informs my application. I should make it very clear that at this judiciary that we all depend on, you got it right, we as practitioners, we as a country all depend on. If I felt it was running perfectly in the right hands, I would have been the last person to apply for the job. Because at my age, I'm going to 60, I enjoy my peace and quiet as a private citizen. Why am I coming here? And whether or not I am a good Chief Justice, I will not please everybody. I will get, as already has happened, people throw stones at you, idlers and other people who have nothing better to do. That is the nature of public service. But I believe at this point in time, you would do very well to have a courageous outsider with the necessary experience. I hope I've answered your question.
And you've answered. Now, my last question. The chair is very strict with time, so that to strictly...
maybe I should add to that last question. And who is also courageous enough to get rid of the cartels that are stalking the court corridors, that are stalking the administration of justice, the brokers for justice. They're all billionaires. They don't even charge legal fees. They're lawyers, many of them. They just charge brokerage fees. People who think they own the courts, and without them the courts can't function. That is what the courts are facing right now. The judiciary is facing that. People are losing hope. You talked about young lawyers losing hope whenever they're in a court and a senior counsel is addressing the court. There are many senior lawyers who now know if they are up against certain lawyers, they don't stand a chance. So what we need is a bit of a shake-up here. We need to move to the next level. We need to restore the transformation journey onto the right trajectory.
Okay, thank you. Now, my last question, if you become the Chief Justice, you'll be our chair here. You'll be the one now to handle this commission. And some of us, including myself, are also difficult when you are fighting, of course, for a position that, you are coming to bring issues that for the people who have elected you as the commissioner is only natural. And also our profession, we are also generally also difficult. So if I don't perform, they put me under pressure. So I also become, difficult here. Now, you will be the leader of the entire institution of the judiciary, the president of the Supreme Court, chairing the National Council of Administration of Justice, So all these different roles that require you to wear different hats. Now, of course, you are aware that there are those who have questioned your temperament. Personally, I've never had any issue with dealing with you, so, it's not about me. But, we are all not the same. Now, there's an opportunity for you probably to answer that question regarding how do you go about it to ensure, because in the CS in the past, you've narrated how you are the DPP, didn't agree with them. You've projected a journey. So I don't know what kind of an assurance you would give that you would still be able to, in all these different roles, notwithstanding the questions being raised about your temperament in terms of, handling all these positions, that you'll still be able to do it and let the institutions run, because once you become the Chief Justice, the issue of 2 years like in the DPP does not arise. Removing a CJ is a tall order. You have to run the course. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Njeru. First of all, my temperament is a very calm one. And I don't think there's anyone I know Perhaps maybe I know one or two people who have ever seen me get to the point where I have lost my temper. I don't lose my temper. I'm very patient. I'm very, very patient. I give you the classic example. The false accusations by Nelson Harvey, the LSK chairman, suspended LSK president. He has been on my back for the last 1 year. I have not responded to him at all. Because why should I?
I'm not sure.
I'm trying to explain that if I'm giving you an example, I don't respond. But when I am finally forced to respond, when I say forced, the commissioner, the JSC commission required me to respond. And if you saw my response, I said it is only because you have asked me. Otherwise, I ignore lies, I ignore insults, I ignore all that. And then I will also tell you, each and every one of the minuscule complaints that have been thrown at me, I've seen some that are 1 line, some that are 2 lines. Apart from being false, I don't know what it is that I'm supposed to have done. But a narrative was being created that I am of short temperament. So I'm coming now to you as the JSC.
JSC, Supreme Court, Judiciary, and NCAJ particularly, those key offices.
So which one do you want me to start with, in order of hierarchy? Let's start with the Supreme Court. I understand, and I've been listening to some of the questions asked about the Supreme Court. How would I bring collegiality? How will I bring a working relationship? I must tell you, Commissioner, that I am very good at that. I go the extra mile. When I want to bring harmony into a situation, I make the phone calls until I get the audience. I make the phone calls until people sit together. I have been instrumental in providing support for several legal groups, and including the Senior Counsel Bar. And I'm sure almost all of them will say that I'm a team builder. I pull people. I call them. I call somebody 20 times if I have to. So in the case of the Supreme Court, I know I am acquainted with all of those learned and very, very senior and eminently qualified individuals who serve on that bench. And if at all there is collegiality that is not, or the collegiality is not at the required level, I see myself as the right person to bring everyone to the table, working together, agreeing to disagree in a civil manner, so that the best jurisprudence comes out of that court. I delegate a lot. I delegate a lot in the sense that as soon as I got to the DPP's office as DPP, I dispersed my authority. I created sections and departments and allowed people to run with them and report to me only when they had to. So it's not, for me, empire building is not a trait I have. So that I consider, even though first in line, I consider that the smallest of the problems. The JSC is a bigger problem. The 9, 10 of you, or 11 when you finally become 11, are all appointed from big places, elected by powerful institutions, have offices in your own right, like the Honorable the Attorney General, and I can't come and dictate to you. I will have to build consensus around most issues. I have no qualms about being the big man and having to do it my way. If you ask me that, I often wondered why, when the Honorable former Chief Justice, who had complaints to make to the President or to the public, directed at the public, he stood on those steps alone. I often wondered where was Commissioner Macharia Njeru and team. What am I saying? My approach would be, we all, as a commission, have to agree, or by way of majority, have to agree that we have a problem, and then we would address, if we had to, address the public on that subject together. I believe that is the only way for an institution such as yours. In addition, and now that you ask, I even am aware that there is litigation between some of you. Priority, why does it have to be there? I think those are the things that have to be attended. We must stop this. We must speak with one voice, even when we disagree. So for me, it's a priority area. Nothing can be done without a supportive JSC. Nothing can be done without each one of the JSC members feeling appreciated and whatever. And to make this happen, count on me. I will call you 20 times, even if you are angry and you don't want